In Port Augusta, renewable energy dominates the local landscape. As you drive into the town, you can't miss the multiple wind turbines and the solar panels that help power the nearby tomato production facility. But could nuclear soon join the energy mix?
We have a vision for our country to deliver cleaner electricity, cheaper electricity and consistent electricity.
Already, Port Augusta is shaping as a battleground for Labor and the coalition's opposing solutions to reducing carbon emissions. Earlier this month, Federal Energy Minister Chris Bowen was in town spruiking the federal government's renewable plan.
This whole precinct being transformed.
But it's the coalition's pre-election announcement that the town of 14,000 people could be the site for one of up to 7 nuclear plants across Australia that is dominating conversation.
I'm open-minded about it, and I think a lot of people are in the community. They just want to know more.
In the wake of the closure of Port Augusta's coal power station, the town's mayor says Port Augusta was left to fend for itself. Now, on the ashes of that old facility, a new power station is being proposed. But there are obstacles to overcome. That land is privately owned. Concrete company Hallett has already begun work on a multi-million-dollar green cement project on the site, and an export port has also been proposed. But Ms Shine says genuine local interest in nuclear remains.
I think it's really good that we've got communities who are wanting to hear about this and understand what that does actually mean.
The objection to nuclear has been political and not scientific. It has been used as a tool of division in Australia for 50 years now.
Outgoing local coalition MP Rowan Ramsey is championing his party's nuclear vision. And while major incidents such as Chernobyl in the Ukraine and Fukushima in Japan have made many Australians wary of nuclear technology, Mr Ramsey says regardless of whether the opposition wins government, that fear will have to be overcome.
Guess what comes out of AUKUS submarines? High-level nuclear waste. So Australia already has to deal with this issue. This is not an extraneous matter now. This is something that we're already committed to.
Energy expert Bruce Mountain says it's frustrating that politics dominates energy debate in Australia. He says while nuclear would, at best, only have a small role to play, it could, in places like Port Augusta, work seamlessly with renewables.
You can co-locate batteries and wind and solar farms in a nuclear power station if you have the transmission capability.
Lindsay Thomas is a Nukunu elder and custodian over the land where the plant could be built.
Our people don't believe in this. We don't believe it should have even been dug out of the ground anywhere in Australia. We believe it's poison.
The Nukunu people's opposition to the nuclear power plant for Port Augusta is so strong, Lindsay Thomas says they'd be willing to go to court to stop it.
I believe we would, yeah. I believe as I stand here and how I talk about the opposition to this, yeah, I'm sure I would.
Mr Thomas says he's taking hope from the Bungala people's win to block the Kimba nuclear waste dump from being built, 150 kilometres away. Citizen scientist and master diver Jeff Bowie is also opposed. He says placing a nuclear reactor in the unique environment of the Upper Spencer Gulf is too risky.
The Gulf is on a knife's edge. All we need is like one little more impact and we'll probably lose the Gulf and all of the positives that it has.
And locals who have been promised big projects before still want to hear a lot more about the plan.
How's this all going to work? How's it going to affect our families? How's it going to affect our employment? What are you going to do with everything? And why is nuclear so good for this town?
That answer to those questions could help determine the next federal election. Arj Gannison, ABC News.